Hi, and welcome to Week 11 of the 2017 high school football season. My name is Michael Bevan. This is Scott Fagerstrom. We're with the Akron Beacon Journal, Ohio.com. Is anybody watching this?
We're back in the office.
We're back in the studio. To be honest, it's a cold day here in Akron, so I don't mind being in the studio.
Right.
So, but if you would like to have us come out to your high school, drop us an email, give us a phone call. We enjoy your viewership.
Let's get to the playoffs.
Some games. Yeah, here we go.
All right, we got, about 18 local teams in the playoffs, 17 games on Friday night.
All Friday this year.
Yeah, all on Friday night, no Saturday games. So we'll get started with Fairless at Manchester. Manchester coming off the historic win for Coach France and an 8-2 season. They got a home game against a conference foe that they've already beaten once.
Yeah, right. These two teams will be familiar with one another. I was at the game this past Friday. Manchester 58-42 over CVCA. Yeah. I mean, who saw that coming? 100 points. I mean, both teams obviously are good offensively.
Right, right.
That was an amazing game. Jim France's grandson, JoJo France, threw I think he threw 4 touchdown passes and he rushed for 1. Yeah. And then Ethan Wright accounted for, I think, 3 or 4 touchdowns as well. So it was just a crazy game. They're in the playoffs. They had already clinched a spot.
Right.
Coach France gets his 382nd win. So that's kind of put to bed, which he's very happy about. And now he can just focus on winning another football game. And it's a familiar foe. I think Manchester, on paper, at home, they're going to win this game.
You know, you would think so. I mean, and they were a road team in the playoffs until this win. This win catapulted them to
put them into that
game.
Home game. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, second game of the night that is a big one for local fans. We got St Vincent, St Mary at Woodridge, 2 strong local programs that have been good for the last several years. Meeting in the first round. This should be a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. This could be a type of game where there's a lot of points scored, depending on the weather.
58-42?
Probably not. Mason Leidick, a quarterback, is one of the best in the area. They're going to look to throw the ball, but they also like to run it at Woodridge with King, Alcardon, Sanders. St. Vincent, St. Mary, they rely a lot on the run. Terrence Keys has really had a nice sophomore season for them. So whichever team gets more stops defensively is going to win. It's cliche, but it's true. This is one of those games, like you said, where it's a local versus a local in D3, and we'll see who comes out on top.
All right, we'll move on to Barberton, where the undefeated 10-0 Barberton Magics will be hosting Cleveland Benedictine. Barberton finished number 2 in their region, behind number 1 and 2-time defending state champion Archbishop Hoban. They could be on a collision course for a regional final matchup in that game.
Yeah, and like you said, Barberton 10-0. They're going against Benedictine, a team that Hoban beat last week at Bedford Stadium. So you look at Barberton, seeing them in person a couple times, they rely on their speed. They tackle very well. They run very fast. Zane Reese, I believe, has not thrown an interception this year.
Is that right?
That's what I heard. Yeah, I have to talk about that. But he's thrown a ton of touchdowns. Not a ton, but he's thrown like 20 to 30 touchdowns. Key Thompson's an impact player. He had a punt return last week in their victory over Highland. And it was really interesting talking to Coach Tony Gatto the other day. He said that those 2 quarters against Highland were the best they've played all year. And I was like, really? Because, I mean, they had some really nice wins over Copley and Talmadge and St. Vincent St. Mary, but he thought those 2 quarters, they were up 28-0 at halftime. They ended up winning that game 48-14. So that's going to be an interesting game. I think on paper they have the edge. And then the other game you're talking about, Hoban and Mayfield, that should be an interesting one as well, to see Hoban make that jump from D3 to D2 now. They like to run the ball with Tyrus Dickerson. They like to play good defense with Deshaun Martin, and I think they should have the edge in that game.
Yeah, Hoban, they're just getting rolling for their chance for a 3rd straight title. Now, whether or not they get there or not remains to be seen, but round 1, they should get through.
Both teams should get through, and like you said, a collision course, that would be in the regional final in a couple weeks if they're able to do their thing. Right,
and we got a couple more undefeated teams. Wadsworth is home against Sylvania Northview, and Rootstown, a 10-0 team, home against Columbiana in a Division 6 game. Those are our other 2 unbeatens in the area.
Yeah, Wadsworth, Joey Boffman, he's been a big-time player for them, running and throwing the ball this past week in their victory over Brecksville. Hudson. He accounted for, I mean, does anybody watch anyways? No. But anyways, he threw for over 200 yards. He rushed for over 200 yards, I believe. Yeah. The kid is a big-time player.
Right.
And then you look at Rootstown, they rely on Caleb Cott, running back. So, we talk about these offensive players a lot. We'll see if, eventually one of these teams we're talking about can slow some of these guys down.
Right.
So, in other games, you got Jackson, you got Stowe in D1, you got Perry and Canton McKinley in Division 1 as well. They're all on the road this week. And as we said at the top, all the games are on Friday, weeks 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. And then the state finals will be, 1 on Thursday, 3 Fridays, and 3 Saturdays.
Correct. That's correct.
So look for the coverage in the Akron Beacon Journal and Ohio.com. And you got anything else?
And we are out.
And we are out. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Mike.